Primordial ecstasy. Back before time began, in everything there was nothing, and nothing there was non-existing. Power was the complement of power, and mass, tightly condensed in one humble form, was the consumption of knowledge. The force that surrounded mass was heat, motion, vacuum, pressure, resistance, alkali, attraction, repulsion, centrifugance, kinetic, and potential. The forces hung around each other, playing games, but no one messed around with mass, and mass did not care. For mass interests were in the observations of the other forces and their interactions. This was food for the mass, and mass was hungry, and so time was born. When time was born, mass doubled in size, but was 4 times as compact. All the other forces noticed as time's first interaction was with attraction and repulsion, where they were joined forever. The first reaction of this union was alkalides, because it liked to react with attraction. So half longed for attraction, this half became acidic. So alkali and acidity became forces stuck in the side of heat. As this happened, attraction was chasing repulsion, forcing motion to guide them between the other forces. Motion could not steer repulsion from slamming into potential, pushing it away from kinetic. Then in a daring move in a half of this occurrence, resistance jumped in front of potential to slow them all down. Meanwhile, centrifugance and pressure started helping motion control attraction and repulsion, potential and resistance, but could only steer them in one direction. Vacuum, afraid of becoming consumed by pressure, moved into mass. Time then joins heat and pressure together. The new union causes mass to spin but not move. Centrifugance, motion, and pressure steer attraction, repulsion, potential, and resistance into heat and pressure. Then a major accident happens. Mass, observing all these things, grows 10 times, engulfing vacuum in its center. This made mass over 100 times more condensed. When this happened, mass directed attraction, repulsion, potential, and resistance into itself with the help of pressure and heat. This incapacitates resistance, giving the 3 forces, attraction, repulsion, and potential, maximum velocity. The 12 forces all became locked in the path of time into their respective reactions. This, however, did not present the impact it would have on the surface of mass. Inside of mass, a crack appeared, and after attraction, repulsion, and potential bounced off the surface of mass, cracks appeared on mass. For the crack on mass, a new substance oozed. It had properties never before seen. It was wet and cool. It parted and receded and did many other strange things. The mass loved it because it brought well-being to its perspective. Attraction, repulsion, and potential locked into orbits around the mass as they watched in awe. For they saw that each of all the forces had left a trace of the powers on the cool, wet ooze. From within mass, the ooze eased the compression between vacuum and mass surface. The ooze grew to the equivalent of mass covering the surface of mass many times over. The ooze put great pressure on the surface of mass. This process was its first initiation. Heat and pressure loathed the ooze. They affected named water, and time progressed. Motion and centrifugance like water and taught water how to move on a sphere, and the first math lesson was born. With the movement of time, heat and pressure condensed the area of the sphere and advertently deepened the crack all the way to the vacuum. The superheated water was sucked into the vacuum, giving way to the first principle of gravity, lightning, and vortices in a tightly enclosed vacuum. Then an explosion fills the folding sails of time on into the future. A tremendous explosion happened through all the pieces of mass, water, lightning, gravity, heat, pressure, attraction, repulsion, alkali, acidic, motion, centrifugance, vortices, vacuum, and love, spreading behind time's billows in tiny shards of glass-like fragments. Random tiny explosions perpetuate the fragments of tiny particles to divide and multiply, bringing forth the second lesson of mathematics. Time encompasses the vacuum, but forever expanding outward like an octopus in a plasma pool, stretching in all directions, stretching out 19 separate tracks of particles, reaching out to fill the vacuum of space left behind by time. Matter, water, and the other forces were contained by time. Water, matter, came together with all the forces reacting outside and inside, replicating separate mirror images upon itself infinitely. This produced the first occurrence of light to stream through the darkness, igniting wherever these conditions of the first event were emulated in the same structure. Giant gaseous fires are born. Gas pools separating and replicating in a mathematical harmony, moving in a three-dimensional ballet-like manner with speed not ever seen before or since. Separating and stretching away from each other, vacuum had entered the center of every mass and outside too. Pressure existing in between helping heat to have a foothold on all the masses, including water. The force of pressure on matter and water created the first life form known to us as bacteria, a life form that was variety inside space and time. Space and time in expansion caused all bacteria-type life forms to expand through all the different mediums so fast that they became a type of one another. This caused the second life form, which is the basis of all life after. This life was created in conjunction with mass, water, bacteria, and worms, meaning inside space and time on matter, the worm was made flesh. Primordial ecstasy.